Hello everybody! It is time for the 2017 garden to begin. Out here with Ava, doing a little Saturday morning walk. As you can see, this is how dismal the garden looks after the winter. Sorry that this is shaking, the dog is pulling my arm. Yeah, I have some cleanup work to do. My compost heap is abysmal, and I've been saying for 3 or 4 years that I'm gonna fix it, so I really gotta do that this year. I had to just pull it all apart. And you can see these frames lying on the ground. Those are my tomato frames for trellises. I use them for peas as well. And I've taken them down. They were in the 3 farthest boxes on the left along the driveway. I'm gonna move them up to this row that's closest to the house. And I've taken them down because I need to shorten the crossbar so that I can put a rebar mesh in there and tie it down. The mesh is not as wide as my frames are, so I need to make the frames narrower. So that's what I'm going to do this weekend. And so you can see over there, I have 2 boxes of garlic, which is doing really well because I've had a very, very mild winter. Got a little bit of rain and they got really green. So there's not much to report besides that outside. Inside I have onion seedlings started, which did really well. Starting onions from seed is pretty difficult, at least for me, and this is the first year that I've had a lot of luck. I also bought twice as much onion seed and started it all at the same time, so that probably helped. So now Ava and I are gonna go inside. I gotta do some shopping, and then I'll be back out to work on this mess. It is now the next day, and I thought I would take some time to show you all the seeds that I bought for the garden this year. I have never done this before. I don't know if this will be interesting to you guys or not, but this way you get to see the exact varieties of things I'm growing. This year I got all of my seeds from Seed Savers Exchange, which has a really good reputation. In previous years I've used Baker Creek because they're pretty awesome, but I have had difficulties with their seeds not growing very well or varieties not running true. So I was really impressed by some of the seeds I bought from Seed Savers last year, so I just bought all my stuff from them this year. First up are the onions that I've already sprouted. These are the Yellow of Parma. I bought these last year from Baker Creek as well, and I was really impressed with how well they grew. They just grew very well. And this year they sprouted very well, which is a huge success for me. Next are carrots. I tried, I think it was the same variety, Red Cord Chantenay, last year. I put out the seed just like I was supposed to, and they never came up because it was 95 degrees and terrible outside. So gonna give it another shot this year. These are King of the North bell peppers, which I don't think these are the ones I grew last year. I think I grew California Wonder. Next up is spinach. I don't know if you can read that. It is the America variety. I am not super picky about spinach. I was growing a variety from Baker Creek called Merlot Nero, I think, which did really well. I look for spinach that does well in warmer weather, that doesn't bolt quickly. And so when I switched to Seed Savers, I just saw this variety. It had the qualities I wanted. Every year I get Genovese basil. This is the normal variety that you find most places. I have tried to grow other types of basil, including purple, and it's been pretty, but I keep coming back to Genovese. And then tomatoes. This is the new variety of tomato I'm growing this year. It's Rosso Sicilian. Every year I grow 6 tomato plants and 3 varieties, and 1 variety is new every year. This I got because it's such a cool shape. It's very ribbed. My second variety of tomato is Amish paste. Usually I try to do Roma, but I've had very bad luck with Roma seeds over the past couple of years, mainly because of Baker Creek quality problems. I decided to get a different paste tomato, and these are roughly the same size and shape with this kind of oval look to them, so we'll see how well they do. I'm also going to try growing lettuce inside the house and not outside. I like very colorful lettuce, so I got the stuff called Flame. This very large pack are my green beans. For 5 years I've been growing Provider or Contender green beans, which I get from Johnny's Seeds. But this year, because I wanted to get everything from Seed Savers, I looked to see what they have, and these are Empress beans. No idea if they'll be good or not, but they seemed pretty similar. So that was a deep dive into all of the vegetable and herb varieties that I want to grow in the garden this year. Cross fingers that they all come up well when I start my seeds. It is only the very first week of March right now, so while I am going to start putting things in the garden a couple of weeks earlier than we normally do because spring is here very quickly, it will still be a few more weeks before I start bunches of these in the basement downstairs. Some things like the spinach and the peas I'm going to direct sow outside in a week or two because they will do well in cooler weather, because I'm sure we'll have a few more cold nights. But everything else will be in little pots in the basement downstairs until they are ready to plant. Probably late April, early May, maybe at this rate. Hello everybody! I'm out here working on the garden this morning. I thought I'd do a mid-morning update. It's a couple of weeks since I last filmed anything, so today I am putting up my tomato trellises. These will also be trellises for the peas. You can see I have one up. It's very tall. I have 2 more to do in these other beds, and I have to cut them down, resize them again, which I didn't want to do, but because I had these pipes in the ground last year, they have dirt compacted in the bottoms of them, and the way these trellises are put together, you put 40-inch rebar in the ground and then you slide the metal piping down over them, and that's what holds them. But when there's dirt compacted inside of it, it don't slide. So I have to take apart the other 2, flip them so the top is now on the bottom, and then reassemble them, which isn't a terrible job, but it does take a little while. Other major thing I'm doing today is this compost pile. This is like real compost. It's never pretty looking. It looks really messy. This stuff is all flipped because I am emptying my big compost pile. I got this box like 5 or 6 years ago, near when I first moved in, and it was really nice at the time because it was really neat looking. It had a lid on it, so it was just, you know, people can't see your compost and it looks really messy and everything, but it was too hard to dig into it and flip it coming in from the top. You need to be tall and have more muscle and stuff than I do. So it's starting to fall apart. I am ripping it apart, digging it out, flipping it, and all the nice stuff at the bottom I am putting into my onion beds, which are that one and that one, because onions do need a lot of nutrients and compost. Over here, on this side of the driveway, I am putting in an impromptu squash bed. I need more garden space, and since I don't want to put in and build another raised bed this year, I just marked off this area. I'm going to put landscaping fabric down, weigh it down with probably the same stone edging that I used on the other side. I'm just going to grow squash vines on top of it. I may need to put wood chips down. Cross that bridge when I come to it. I'm really terrible at growing squash, so this is an experiment. But if nothing else, I will have landscaping fabric down, so next year, if I want to build a bed on top of it, that will already be done. Alright, this is the final update for this video. It's now Tuesday, March 21st, I think. So I have gotten all of my heavy labor done. I have my 3 trellises up. Also, it's kind of windy today, so I'm sorry if it's difficult to hear me. So I have peas planted in these 3. I actually have carrots planted right there. We will see if they come up or not. They didn't come up last year. I have the 2 beds of garlic, of course, which are doing pretty well. 2 beds of transplanted onions, which I'm a little bit worried about them, actually. They were okay when I transplanted them, but it got rather cold last night, and it's so dry. I've actually watered them twice, and it still just looks so dry. So they're a bit wan looking. Hopefully they rebound. Those are my 2 spinach beds, which you can't see anything in them, but I had to rip out tons of weeds. This is what I get for not weeding in the fall and letting all those roots and things sit over winter. It was not fun. And the compost heap is gone. I am so pleased about that. So I have the messy things here, but I got like, I don't know, 3 or 4 inches of compost to put in these beds. I was so happy about that. And now we are in my basement because I almost forgot to show you this part of the process. This is my grow light setup, which I inherited from my parents. I get a lot of stuff from my parents where garden is concerned, but hey, it's free. So you can't really see anything, but these are the 3 varieties of squash I'm gonna grow. I have zucchini, the squash lemon, which I don't know anything about. It was a freebie. And yes, I'm starting kaboka again. It may all come to naught, but I have a squash bed I'm gonna put them in and see what happens. I don't actually need to start squash under grow lights. You can direct seed them, but I'm doing this anyway because I had these big pots and I thought, why not? And up top, where you still can't see anything, are the tomatoes and peppers. I'm gonna have 2 opalka, 2 Rosso Sicilian, 2 of the Amish paste, and these 6 are the King of the North bell peppers. So hopefully they will pop up out of the ground in the next day or 2. They've only been underneath the grow lights for 2 days at this point, so you can't see anything. This is so anticlimactic. But anyway, thank you for joining me once again for the garden stuff. I will try to do another 2 or 3 of these videos throughout the year to show you the process. And until next time, when there is more to see, bye.